All right, so we are back with one more session of reading comprehension exercise. PDF will be in the description. And yes, you may please download the app to get free access to IPMAT prep content and of course, doubt solving and everything else. And all right, you also got to make some money. One way is to engage yourself on iQuanta app and earn some iCoins. And then of course, take a decision and join the batch and read the passage. Question number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. The last one, number 6. All right. So now that you've solved it, we can start the discussion part. And we start with reading the passage. This is one of those passages which seems, the options, they seem difficult, but if you understand the central idea of the passage, it's very easy. So the key here was getting the central theme, central idea of the passage. Okay. The motor car is one of the defining features of modernity. Society was transformed by the internal combustion engine and its utopian promises for society. तो इंटरनल कम्बशन इंजन ऑफ कोर्स कंफर्टेबल कर दिया लाइफ एंड थोड़ी लगा कि यार अब तो बढ़िया परफेक्ट सी लाइफ होने वाली है. Cars made distant places accessible for the first time, creating fast, long distance personal transport that was never before thought possible. Like all technologies, this came at a cost. अब इसका एक नुकसान भी था. The biggest problems were for our cities, which had to contend with noise pollution, air pollution, and the loss of streets and neighborhood. सबसे बड़ी समस्या ये. The car shaped the form that cities, indeed societies, took in the 20th century. Our relationship with cars tells us about society and its priorities. Traffic layouts last for decades. तो जब traffic layout बने थे तो अभी तक हमें दिख रहे हैं ना. The size, configuration, and busyness of roads all have an effect on the way we perceive cities. Cars and their paraphernalia, जो उसके साथ और भी चीजें जुड़ी होती हैं, determine where we walk, what we look at, and how much time and money we spend in a given place. तो कार कैसे impact करती लाइफ को, ये डिस्कशन हुआ. A different problem, though, is easily missed. अब ये सब तो apparent problems हैं, but there's one problem that is easily missed. Once these thousands of cars have got to their destination in densely packed cities, where do you put them? The main problem is of parking, and it is very true for all of us in everyday, day-to-day life. This, in turns out, was one of the biggest problems of urbanism in the 20th century. The problem was met with radically different answers in different places. लोगों ने अलग-अलग solutions निकाले. And one of the more intriguing solutions that aroused curiosity is found in the strange history of underground parking. और यहाँ से अब topic शुरू होता है हमारा underground parking का. Parking implies clutter in our streets. And the more central the parking, the more pollution the parking brings to the heavily populated areas. Many of us have spent a great deal of time searching for a free spot in city centers, only to find nothing. We just keep driving like slowly, देखते रहते ना, यहाँ लगा दो, वहाँ लगा दो, मिलता नहीं है कुछ. It turns out there is a name for this. It's called cruising. When you're looking for a parking spot in a crowded city. This might seem a niche complaint, but research shows that as much as 15% of urban traffic can be caused by cruising alone. वो लगता है कि छोटी सी problem है, but research shows that as much as 15%, which is a major chunk of urban traffic, can be caused by cruising alone. The result is a measurable increase in carbon emissions and localized pollution. And cruising also results in increase in carbon emissions and localized pollution. Even if you do find a space, that space is at an expense of everyone else. Surface space for doing anything other than parking can be worth a lot more money, but we seldom realize it because we have lived with street and surface parking for decades. But understand this important point. It says surface space for doing anything other than parking can be worth a lot more money, but we seldom realize it because we have lived with street and surface parking for decades. जो space आपने, जो physical space, land piece आपने parking को allot कर रखा है, fine, it could be more useful for anything else and will make more money in that regard. That's what they say. Can be worth a lot more money, but we seldom realize it because we have lived with street and surface parking for decades. And this parking is often rented out much more cheaply than the market price, subsidizing low density neighborhoods. So overall, जो land piece हमने parking को दे रखा है, it better be used for something else because that will give more money. Hence, urban sprawl. It didn't have to be this way. Cars can be put somewhere else, still in city centers, yet out of sight, leaving parks, monuments, and squares open. That somewhere else was the oft-forgotten acreage beneath our feet. That means underground. ये जो land था. Although the idea is simple, it has been adopted inconsistently and was not always well conceived. एक तो adoption has been inconsistent and it was not always well conceived. Plan B ठीक से नहीं किया था. Quite literally overlooked, the story of underground parking has lessons for us all, teaching us to treat our towns and cities better. This story begins more than 160 years ago, during the height of the Industrial Revolution. The depths beneath our cities have long been exploited for visionary infrastructure, and the most impressive examples are the underground railways that were built in European cities from a remarkably early point. तो ये example है जहां पे underground space use किया है to avoid using the more valuable land above the surface. Okay, बढ़िया, चलो जी. तो central theme is कि भाई गाड़ी रुकेगी कहाँ पे, and then the underground parking comes in because ऊपर वो subsidized है. The more money can be made if that land was to be used for something else other than parking. Okay, question number 1. Based on the passage, which of the following statements best captures the underlying paradox? But a paradox is a self-contradictory statement. Okay, paradox of modern urban layout. All right. A. The introduction of the motor car offered utopian promises of unparalleled accessibility, but resulted in the destruction of neighborhoods due to noise and air pollution. Beta, this is not a paradox, this is a trade-off. हुआ क्या कि accessibility तो मिल गया, but उसके बदले चला क्या गया? You had a lack of clean air and lot of noise. तो noise pollution आ गया और air pollution आ गया. तो this is a trade-off. कार आने से वो चले गया. The clean air part. B. Long-term traffic layouts dictate daily human behaviors and financial investments. Long-term traffic layouts, जो decades हैं वो हमें दिखते हैं, dictate daily human behaviors and financial investments. Yet, they systematically fail to account for the spatial requirements of stationary vehicles. Movement में है तब तो उसका तो ध्यान रख लिया हमने, but the paradox was कि वो गाड़ियां जाएंगी कहाँ जब वो अपने destination पहुंच जाती हैं. That was the problem with that layout. C. Street and surface parking spaces are valued deeply by city dwellers for convenience, yet they market subsidize low density urban sprawl at a massive financial loss to municipalities. Massive financial loss to municipalities. Just a second. Street and surface parking spaces are valued deeply by city dwellers for convenience, yet they market subsidize. Convenience भी कहाँ पे है? वो they are going round and round and round. There's no convenience also, beta. ठीक, हटाओ. D. Underground tunneling solves the high financial cost of land acquisition. I don't think there's a discussion of land acquisition in the passage. कि land acquire कैसे करना है. In densities, but introduces hidden liabilities regarding how people perceive urban structures. But I think this is out of scope. No discussion of how land is acquired. So this is gone. We go back to B, that long-term traffic layouts dictate daily human behaviors and financial investments. बताते हैं. Yet, they systematically fail to account for the spatial requirements of stationary vehicles. All right. Next one. What can be logically inferred about the practice of cruising from the fourth para? वो cruising मतलब वो parking lot ढूंढ रहा है, धीरे धीरे गाड़ी चला के pollution भी बढ़ा रहा है और lot मिल भी नहीं रहा है. It is an unseen catalyst for localized ecological degradation, artificially inflated by deliberate mispricing of surface level urban infrastructure. Deliberate mispricing, वहां पे उन्होंने subsidize कर रखा है, दाम कम कर रखे हैं उस parking lot के. साफ लिखा हुआ था that land where you have made parking lots at those subsidized rates, that land can be used to make more money by doing something else out there. But I think we can hold it. B says it is an isolated driving habit that primarily affects densely populated commercial sectors rather than residential neighborhood. It may seem niche, but it is 15%. Major chunk लिखा हुआ है बेटा वहाँ पे साफ साफ. So it is not isolated, eliminated. C, it constitutes a sizable fraction of overall urban transit, acting as an involuntary byproduct of centralized parking deficiencies. I don't think we are talking about centralized parking deficiencies. We are talking about the loss, differential loss. It serves as a prominent metric for urban planners to quantify the exact correlation between vehicle density and rising carbon emissions. But it has got nothing to do with cruising. Okay. It is an unseen catalyst because साफ लिखा था बेटा, it could be missed. Okay. For localized ecological degradation, artificially inflated by deliberate mispricing of surface. So this is these two, in fact these three, all 3 points have been covered in option A. Next, the author introduces the example of underground railways in the final paragraph primarily to. Oh, last में उन्होंने railways का example लिया कि भाई to kind of utilize the mainland for other things. इन्होंने क्या किया? They found the tunnel or underground railways form कर दिए थे. Okay. A, demonstrate that subterranean, that is underground space, was historically prioritized for mass transit before being adapted for personal vehicle storage. Was prioritized for mass transit before being adapted. एक मिनट होल्ड करते हैं बेटा. B, trace the chronological evolution of public transport systems from the heights of industrial revolution to the advent of the motor car. बेटा कोई भी chronological evolution वहां पे describe नहीं किया that how railway came then something came then something, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. But example दिया हुआ है railways का. Argue that underground solutions are inherently superior to surface layouts when navigating the demolition of urban blocks. Again, out of scope as far as demolition of existing urban blocks, and plus superior and inferior, there is no comparison as such. D, illustrate a historical precedent where spatial constraints and prohibitive real estate costs forced infrastructure beneath the surface. Illustrate a historical precedent where spatial constraints and prohibitive real estate costs forced infrastructure beneath the surface. I think we can go with D. कैसे चलते हैं एक बार फिर से देख लेते हैं so that we have no doubts. This story begins more than 160 years ago during the height of industrial revolution. The depths beneath our cities have long been exploited for visionary infrastructure, and the most impressive examples are the underground railways that were built in European cities from a remarkably early point. और ये देखो, even if you do find ये cruising की बात आ गई, and this parking is often rented out as much more cheaply than the market price, subsidizing low density neighborhoods, hence urban sprawl. तो उसके पहले उन्होंने यही बताया हुआ है कि यार cruising का एग्जाम्पल दिया उन्होंने, फाइन, एंड इट टोल्ड अस दैट अगर आपको पार्किंग स्पेस मिल भी जाता है तो भी वो पार्किंग स्पेस सब्सिडाइज्ड है, इट कुड बी यूज्ड फॉर समथिंग एल्स. उसके फॉर दीज रीजंस 160 इयर्स अगो अंडरग्राउंड रेलवेज ले किए गए. तो दे आर जस्ट गिविंग यू द एग्जाम्पल हाउ दिस ऑलरेडी हैज बीन डन इन द पास्ट. ओके, एग्जाम्पल अंडरग्राउंड रेलवेज, फाइन. नंबर 4, एक मिनट, तो अंडरग्राउंड रेलवेज का हमने क्या मार्क किया था बेटा? इट वाज डी फॉर दिल्ली. Number 4, according to the text, the prevalence of street and surface parking in modern cities persists largely because ये क्यों है ही? Why is it there? A. Alternative subterranean options are inconsistently executed, structurally flawed, and historically poorly conceived. Alternative subterranean options are inconsistently executed, structurally flawed, and historically poorly conceived. देखते हैं, but I think we have a more commercial reason also. Citizens have normalized its presence over generations, blinding them to the superior financial utility of that same urban space. Yes, they cannot see. And plus, have normalized its presence over generations, ठीक है? And they cannot see. It is easy to miss, लिखा हुआ बेटा. Them to the superior financial utility of that same urban space. That same urban space can be used for something better. I think we have got the answer. C पे चलते हैं. It represents a highly lucrative economic asset that actively sustains the financial viability of central business districts. Beta, it is not lucrative. It is not profitable. Lucrative means profitable. It is not profitable. In fact, it has been highly underpriced. ये बोला गया है. So it is not lucrative anyway. हटाओ. D. Market prices for central real estate are intentionally suppressed by urban planners to incentivize low-density suburban developments. Market prices for central real estate are intentionally suppressed. बेटा पूरा market place का real estate नहीं, वो उसकी value नहीं कम की है, वहां से जो earning है वो कम हो गई है. If you use it for parking, all right. So that was the concept. We can go with B, as I said earlier. Next, based on the passage, with which of the following assertions would the author most likely agree? A. The primary failure of 20th century urbanism lies not in the integration of the internal combustion engine, but in the structural mismanagement of vehicle destination points. ये हमारा मेन मुद्दा था यहाँ पे. अभी देखते हैं बेटा B पे आते हैं. Had underground parking structures been built at scale during the 1920s, the localized environmental crisis of modern cities would have been fully averted. बेटा there would have been other reasons. So you cannot say कि parking space नीचे बनाए थे तो fully रोक लेते उसको, completely, absolute है. So it is not the answer. C. Mass transit systems like the London Underground were conceptually flawed because they prioritize displacing residents over purchasing city blocks. बेटा दो चीजें, displacing residents not part of a discussion, okay, and plus were conceptually flawed. No, they were. Example दिया कि they were good यार, उन्होंने ऊपर का लैंड ना यूज करके जो कि ज्यादा रियल एस्टेट वैल्यू हाई थी वहां पे अंडरग्राउंड यूज किया है, तो इट इज नॉट फ्लॉड. कंसेप्ट वाज नॉट फ्लॉड. Eliminated. D. Modern urban sprawl is a direct consequence of consumers refusing to pay realistic market prices for personal transportation and fuel. Not discussed. And plus refusal, उनके पास चॉइस ही कहाँ है, वो तो गोल गोल घूम रहा है, उनको जितना पैसा बोला जा रहा है दे ही दे रहा है वो तो. इनफैक्ट उनको सस्ता पड़ रहा है अगर हम नॉर्मल पार्किंग की बात कर रहे हैं, नॉट द अंडरग्राउंड वन. हाँ, so we mark the answer before we move ahead beta. Answer A. Last question. Which of the following best describes the tone and overarching objective of the author in this passage? Tone देखा जाए भाई. Dogmatic and prescriptive. Dogmatic is having a belief that I am right, there is no proof. So I don't think dogmatic यहाँ पे नहीं हो सकता. इसी बेसिस पे इसको तो हटा देते हैं. Analytical and reflective, okay, seeking to expose a overlooked dimension of urban engineering to prompt a reassessment of contemporary city management. I think analyze किया है और reflection ये thought, you must start thinking of this issue, ठीक है. Indifferent and historical. He's not indifferent. It's not as if it doesn't bother him. It is. That is why he's writing. Attempting to objectively catalog the various structural solutions deployed by urban planners during the industrial revolution. ये तो कहीं से भी नहीं है कि they are talking just about industrial revolution. वो example था underground railways का. That's it. And it is definitely not indifference. D. Cautionary and alarmist. Intending to warn municipalities about the immediate catastrophic economic collapse. Oh, too much. Catastrophic economic collapse. Loss हो रहा है. It's not as if the economy will collapse. This is gone. It is analytical and reflective. So here we are. As I said, but if you caught the central theme, then all the answers were easy because then you could eliminate the options. Central theme थोड़ा पकड़ना यहाँ पे एक इश्यू रहता बेटा. So please mark your answer. देखो कितने सही हुए कितने गलत, लिखो जरा 0/6 करो. Okay, and then again we repeat the same thing, I coins and the batches. See you beta, bye bye.